Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially how about that one?
Kanye West is one of the greatest artists of all time. Born in Atlanta, Georgia, and raised in Chicago, he grew up to become possibly the most influential person of the 21st century. He has done it all. From groundbreaking music and impeccable directing to game-changing fashion, Kanye has had an impact on almost every industry imaginable and has pushed those industries into uncharted territories, such as popularizing the usage of 808s in music and having an unprecedented impact on fashion after the success of the Yeezy brand. Despite his unwavering presence in media for the past 2 decades, he is possibly the most polarizing figure in pop culture right now, leaving no room for nuance. You either love him or hate him. Kanye has always fully expressed his true emotions when it comes to anything he does, whether that would be in his music or in his interviews, and that has left many fans liking him for his honesty despite his fame. I'll be honest, I'm one of these fans. I have liked Kanye and his music since 2009 with the release of 808s and Heartbreak. This video will be a deep dive into Kanye's main albums, his movie, and his controversy right now. There will be a very clear bias towards Kanye going on, and I don't care. I'm a proud Kanye meat writer. I think Kanye has one of the best discographies of all time, as there is something there for literally anyone. Kanye is absolutely my favorite artist, rapper, and producer and has released what I think to be the greatest album of all time in The College Dropout. What I love the most about Kanye's music is how different it all is. Up until Jesus is King, a person could say that literally any one of Kanye's albums was his favorite and no one would bat an eye. That's because of how different each album is. Since each album is different, the way people perceive Kanye is also different. Some may see Kanye as that guy who pushed Taylor Swift to the side that one time. Others might see him as the disrespectful mentally ill man that he shows himself to be nowadays. Others might see him to be this ambitious up-and-comer who is pushing forward this kind of never-seen-before type of music that's honest rather than gangsta, and all of these would be absolutely justifiable, since Kanye is all of those things and more. Kanye has come from humble beginnings and rose to stardom in a relatively short amount of time with the release of The College Dropout and the Teddy Bear Trilogy, which proves how consistent Kanye West is. All of these albums are masterpieces in their own right. The College Dropout was a breath of fresh air at the time and stands as one of the most relevant artistic statements, especially nowadays. Throughout the entire album, Kanye expresses his slight disgust towards the lack of hesitation that people display when going to college, which is more relevant now than ever, with people majoring in meaningless gender studies degrees just to work at McDonald's to pay their student debts off, hoping Bernie Sanders will come and save them from the consequences of their own actions. The energetic chipmunk soul displayed here is incredible, and this album is groundbreaking in every way possible. Even the skits in this album are masterpieces and are usually infused into the lore of this album. My favorite tracks on this album include All Falls Down, 2 Words, and Jesus Walks.
What the dog doing?
The jazz-infused sampling that's found in almost every single song in Late Registration is also masterful and can be seen in Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly, which has subtly taken some inspiration from Late Registration. Graduation, at least in my opinion, is Kanye's most overrated album. I didn't like it nearly as much as others, who claim this album is Kanye's best album. A lot of songs on here are masterpieces such as Homecoming and Flashing Lights, but Graduation has undeniably the worst Kanye song ever made, which is Drunk and Hot Girls. I have literally always skipped this song since the first listen, and it infuriates me how Kanye thought it was a good idea to keep it in. 808s and Heartbreak is Kanye's most inspirational album, with people such as Juice WRLD and Lil Uzi claiming that it's one of their favorite albums. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is a masterpiece and stands as my second favorite Kanye album. It has unmatched collaborative genius, with almost every big name in rap at the time being in this album. It is also accompanied with one of the greatest music videos of all time called Runaway, which I see nearly no one talking about. It is a long, cohesive music video, with some of the greatest cinematography I have seen, comparable to some of the greatest movies ever made. My favorite shot is this, as you can very subtly see Kanye's reflection on the TV. This scene is also genius. As you can see, Everyone in the room is conforming to a relatively strict dress code. Meanwhile, the phoenix is dressed up as a phoenix usually does. This very clearly stands out in the room full of people who blend in, which might be a reference to how Kanye sees himself in an industry full of people trying to do what's popular rather than what would push the industry forward. Maybe they're looking at the phoenix because she has slightly lighter skin than the rest of the people there. As you can tell by having a closer look, the supposed slaves here are white and the people sitting at the table are black, which is a direct reference to what would happen in the days of slavery, so maybe they're just giving her the Django treatment.
Who this nigga on that name?
Maybe they're looking at her because she's beautiful.
Your girlfriend is really beautiful.
Thank you.
Maybe it's because she's a bird.
Do you know she's a bird?
No, I never noticed that.
We may never know. Anyways, on to Yeezus, which has to be Kanye's most divisive album. I think that divisiveness was intentional, because at the time, divisive is exactly what Kanye was. If people call you divisive or anti-Semitic, those thoughts start to internalize and you start to become those very things out of mere exposure to these thoughts. Kanye was clearly intentional with his polarization, as you can tell by these lyrics from On Sight. Speaking of polarization, in the life of Pablo, Kanye puts gas on the flame of the Taylor Swift beef and is possibly as random as ever in the album's overall structure. You can have a gospel song right next to a song about getting bleach on his t-shirt from having sex with a model, which will be followed by a song about how much Kanye loves himself. This seemingly random structure is also clearly intentional, as he was trying to give us a closer look on how his mental state at the time dealt with the consequences of fame. Speaking of which, Ye is the most beautiful expression of feelings in an album I've ever seen. From the thoughts of suicide to the expression of disgust at the things he used to do to women, everything in this album dives into emotional territory that has never been seen before. In my personal opinion, I think everything after Kids See Ghosts is respectfully mid. I don't like the gospel stuff, as it seems like it's been done more than a decade before and arguably better in songs such as Jesus Walks. Off the Grid is fire though. Kanye right now is more controversial than ever, with his anti-Semitic remarks at an all-time high with his appearance on the Alex Jones show. Never in a million years would I imagine that Kanye would be on the Alex Jones show and that, surprisingly, Kanye would make Alex Jones look like the logical person in the room. I completely understand Kanye's main goal right now, namely exposing the Jewish media and the banks and such for their hypocrisy, but saying that he likes achieves none of that. What's his goal? What's his end game? Is it attention that he wants? He's definitely doing that. But at some point, the attention starts to hurt your image irreversibly. All Kanye is doing right now is further polarizing people and spreading hatred rather than love, which he claimed to be his main motive right now. I completely believe in free speech, but what Kanye is doing here is just wrong in terms of spreading love speech. I believe that art should be separated from the artist to some extent. But with someone like Kanye that embeds his personality into his music so much, it's hard to do that. I don't know how much he made Graduation I Have in Me. What do you think about Kanye? Like, comment and subscribe because the IRS is coming for me and YouTube is my only way out.